Hello everyone, hope you're having a fantastic Monday so far, and welcome back to the Waiver Wire show. Your weekly information on one undrafted Pokemon and their potential usage in a draft league format. I'm your host Strompfel, and I just want to say before the actual video starts that I really encourage you to stick around all the way to the end for this season finale of the Waiver Wire show. I do have some stuff to say, so I would really appreciate if you took your time and stuck around all the way through. Now, back to Pokemon. We did not have a poll for this week's featured Pokemon, and that's because I promised a friend to cover his favorite Pokemon, so that's what we're doing today. So, strap up your seatbelts one last time, because now we're getting into this season finale with Masquerain. Now, Masquerain has some pretty interesting stats. What the fuck? This is the most horse stats I've ever seen on the show. This is like bad. You know when you get beaten up by some kids in school? Well, that's better than these stats. The Ebola virus? Well, that gotta suck, but so does these stats. This is like you getting kicked in the nuts and while simultaneously getting cramps in your leg, and this is the time when your parents tell you that you're adopted. Okay, I might have taken things out of hand. Alright, so Masquerain has base 70 HP, it has an attack stat at base 60, a defensive stat at base 62, a semi-good special attack stat at 80, a, again, almost decent special defensive stat at 82, and then a terrible speed stat at base 60. Overall, we're working with some difficult shit this week. But with a magical snap, Masquerain stats will have changed dramatically. Now it has a base 100 special attack and base 80 speed. No, actually, they changed that in Generation 7, but I'm very glad, otherwise we would have had a problem trying to make anything work with this Pokemon. Masquerain is a flying and bug dual typing, which is pretty bad offensively, to be completely honest with all of you. Flying could in theory be spammable, but bug doesn't really help out at all. Sure, it hits electric types that otherwise resist flying, but other than that, it doesn't really help out that much. Both of these typing gets absolutely stopped by steel type, since it will not be broken under any circumstances with your dual stab. Defensively, it's not really too good either. To be fair, I might be biased, but I don't really like bug types in general, since they are weak to the worst things. Having the flying typing doesn't really help out in this situation. But even though I do not like the typing or the stats, there has to be something that makes Masquerain draft worthy, right? Well, that is correct. Masquerain does have some interesting pros that we will go over now. First and foremost is the fact that Masquerain gets access to the move Sticky Webs, an absolutely game-changing move that came out in Generation 6. Sticky Webs works as an entry hazard and makes everything that touches the ground lose one stage of speed, which is absolutely ridiculously good. You can literally make your entire team faster than your opponent just by using this amazing move. Now, Masquerain might not be the most reliable hazard setter in the world, but just having this makes team building so much harder, since you have to build around the fact that you might not be able to outspeed your opponent's team. Now, bug types was the obvious weakest link in Pokemon for a very long time. A lot of weaknesses and not too much firepower offensively. But then Gen 5 rolled around and Game Freak decided that it was time to give the majority of the bug types out there a special Christmas present. The move Quiver Dance. Quiver Dance is an amazing move that raises the user's special attack, special defense and speed with one stage. Absolutely amazing. This move should be in the top 5 of setup options in my opinion. Masquerain was one of the lucky few that got access to the move and can now in theory sweep a team. The last thing that Masquerain has going for it is that it for some reason has the ability Intimidate, which is a pretty good ability since you can lower an opponent's physical attack on switch-in, which makes your setup a little bit easier, I guess. Why this thing gets Intimidate is beyond me, but I guess Game Freak had its reasons. Now, I also have my reasons why I think the coaches did the right thing and stayed away from Masquerain, since it has some really unfortunate cons. The first thing is that Stealth Rock really hinders it, since you know it does take up to 50% on entry with hazards up. If you want to use this Pokemon, you need the whole hazard removal package that we discussed last week with Talonflame. Rocks cannot be up. I repeat, rocks cannot be up. Now, this wouldn't be a problem if Masquerain would have just stayed Water and Bug type like Surskit. Water and Bug would have been so much better in Masquerain's case, since in that case you do not take as much damage upon entry with hazards, and you're not absolutely walled to oblivion by every single motherfucking steel type in the game. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. Look at this Pokemon, it's a bug and water type, it lives near a lake. Now it evolves, it stays in the lake, it's still blue, but for some reason it lost its water typing. I mean, it does have wings, but if I told myself that I was a flying type, got some wings and jumped out my window, shit would not end well. It doesn't even learn fly, but it learns hydro pump, so Game Freak, what's up with that? Now, the last thing is that Masquerain is a pretty weak Pokemon stats-wise and gets outshined by a lot of Pokemon. You could set up your webs, sure, but other than that, it doesn't really do that much to your opponents. But some cons has never scared anyone from using a specific Pokemon they love. Well, maybe not Burmy, but none other than that, so you know...
What did you call my mother? Are you fucking twat?
Oh, no, I didn't mean to.
I could kill you with my thumb.
You don't have thumbs.
Strompfel, I am your mother. And your father. Ha ha ha, JK wreck noob, burn me out.
Okay, let's go into Pokemon Showdown and play around with Masquerain. So the first sample set we have here is your generic Sticky Webs lead Masquerain, whose job is to get up Sticky Webs first turn and then try and support the team a little bit more before it dies. The moves that we have here are Sticky Webs of course, Stun Spore, Tailwind and then Quick Attack. This is so you get the speed advantage even against the Pokemon that your opponent leads off with. You can either cripple them on for the entire match by paralyzing it, or you can set up the Tailwind making your incoming Pokemon after Masquerain dies fast as all hell. The idea behind this set is that you set up Sticky Webs and your opponent will attack you and bring you down all the way to your focus sash that you have to ensure one survival. And then you get the opportunity to get the speed advantage with either Stun Spore or Tailwind. Quick Attack is there if you fear that your opponent has a focus sash and you want to get rid of it. Let's say you're facing off against a Breloom for example. Quick Attack will break the potential focus sash before you die. The EVs are maxing to speed and HP to be as fast as possible and have overall bulk. Set number 2 is the attempted Quiver Dance sweep set, and I say attempted since I've never ever played with this Pokemon, so I just don't know if it works, but it looks good on paper. Now this set is again meant to set up 1 or 2 Quiver Dances and sweep, or at least do some damage. To help with that we do once again have the focus dash to ensure 1 Quiver Dance, and if you for some reason scare out an opponent and get up 2, well then you might be set to sweep. The moves that we in theory could sweep with is Bug Buzz and Air Slash for stab and then Hydro Pump since we can bop a fire type or do some damage to a potential steel type. The EVs are maxing to speed and special attack with a timid nature to be as fast as possible and hit as hard at the same time. Alright, so set number 3 is a Baton Pass set, which has the main objective to give another member on the team speed boost, so it could potentially outspeed the entire game and maybe pick up a sweep. Now, to accomplish that goal, we do have the Agility, the Baton Pass, the Substitute and the Bug Buzz. The Agility and the Baton Pass is pretty self-explanatory in my opinion, you want to pass speeds. The Substitute is there if you get the opportunity to predict your opponent's status move and get behind a free substitute, which makes your baton passing easier. Bug Buzz is there for stab, if your life depends on it you might actually do some, or not some, just a little bit of damage. The EVs are maxing to HP and speed to be as fast as possible and maybe take some hits. Now, one of the things I do want to mention before we move on is that if you don't play by GBA rules, you should actually try and pass some Quiver Dances instead of just speed, which makes your incoming Pokemon much bulkier and much stronger. Now, we don't allow that here, but go nuts in leagues that don't have any rules. Alright, so it physically pains me to say it, but now we're getting into the final build set of the season, and this might be the weirdest of them all. Check this out. Fiscal Masquerain, baby. This is easily the most interesting in quotation marks set so far, and it's just created out of my and my friend Isaac's imagination. This set is a revenge killer with the move Fell Stinger. If you kill something with this pretty weak move, your attack will be boosted 3 whole stages. Incredible! Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, but Masquerain has a terrible attack stat, but with the Fell Stinger boost you might actually be able to do some damage. We also have the Lunge and the Aerial Ace to get some stab going, and then we have the Natural Gift. Now, the Natural Gift we have here will be turned into a base 80 physical fire move combined with the Cherry Berry that we have for the item. The goal for this set is to pick up a weakened foe with the Fell Stinger, get your attack boost and then have your opponent switch into their Steel type, which in theory will wall you. Then you whip out your Natural Gift Fire and try to do some damage. Now, me personally would never ever use this set unless I had like a gun pointed to my head, but maybe if you're already in playoffs or out of playoffs, this set might be something you want to try out. Think about this. How good would it feel to blow back a mega scissor with a natural gift Masquerain? Yeah, that's what I thought. And that's going to do it for the last episode of the Waiver Wire show and this season of the GBA. It has truly been an honor to bring you this show every Monday for about 3 months now, and I really have to say, it has been 3 great months for me. I was really nervous when I started making these Waiver Wires since I wanted to take the series in another direction. From it being a more of an informational video to it being a full-on show where I could be creative and funny. I've gotten great feedback on the transaction and I do believe you guys really like the new version of the Waiver Wire, and I got to say I really enjoyed making them. Now that I do have more time and don't just spend it on the Waiver Wire, I have actually started up my own channel, so if you feel like I'm a person you would like to watch, there should be a link in the description to my own channel. I only have 1 video at the time, but there'll be more. So to evaluate this season of the Waiver Wire, there will be a poll in the description. This poll will help me and the guys who's running the channel see what you guys enjoyed and what you want back in Season 8. The options on the poll are I like the show and I like the host. And that is if you enjoyed what I did and want me back to do it again in Season 8. You can also choose like the show, not the host. This is if you like the show's concept, but you would rather see someone else hosting it and maybe go back to the things they were before I joined as an analyst. Option 3 is the I like the host but not the show. This is if you like me personally, but you would rather see me doing something else, like, say, the Pick'ems crew, or for example. The final option on the poll is would rather see something else on the channel. The final option is would rather see something else on Mondays with someone else. And this is if you feel like you would rather see something else instead of the Waiver Wire on the channel, and in that case you would like to have another host. And that's all the options you guys have. I really would love if you guys voted. It would really show my work on the channel and potentially make me come back for another season. Special thank you to Superhuman for making the graphics throughout this season, and of course to my good friend Isaac who helped me create these episodes. But that should be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been your host Strompfel, and I'll see all of you around. Goodbye.